Hi, this is Danny Doyle, and welcome to part 2 of my Robo Delibird versus Paldea Christmas-ish special. I don't really celebrate Christmas, so the fact that this came out on New Year's, I guess makes it a New Year's special. If you have not watched part 1, go ahead and watch part 1. I mean, you don't have to, but you should. It's the first half of the game, basically. And now we're in part 2, where we got through what I would argue is probably the more difficult half, because once Robo Delibird starts being able to snowball, he gets really, really high special attack, universal unresisted stab coverage, etc., etc. It's pretty awesome. The last thing we did in part 1 was defeat Larry, which is kind of a good splitting point, because not only are we getting near the point where our special attack is going to allow us to hopefully one-shot everything with the correct moveset, but we're also at the point where we can now terrestrialize, allowing for much more strategic depth. I do think the second half of this is a lot easier than the first half, but I also think it is because I can employ more interesting strategies. I hacked the game in order to give myself infinite Terra Shards so I can change my Terra type whatever I like, but in my runs I ban the move Terra Blast. It's an 80 power move that can be either special or physical depending on which attacking stat is better, and it can be a stab attack of any type you want just based on what you make your Terra type. I believe that this is too powerful and centralizing for a solo run. The majority of Pokemon would just get an 80 power stab move of their stronger type, whether it's physical or special, and just everything would devolve into what is super effective against this, I'll Terrestrialize and Terra Blast. What's super effective against this, I'll Terrestrialize and Terra Blast. And I just don't think that's fun. It doesn't allow the Pokemon to show their individual strengths in a solo run. Obviously, your run, your rules is the most important thing, but I personally do not find the aspect of using Terra Blast to solve all of my problems to be fun and interesting. It feels distinctly different than Hidden Power, which is something that I do allow in my solo runs, because Hidden Power, you have to choose one type to cover the entire game. It's also always special, except for in Generation 3 and 2, where it depends on the type, whether it's special or physical, but it still has that limitation of you only get one type, you can't change it throughout the game, whereas Terra Blast you can change for whatever is best situationally. Now that I have the ability to change my Terra type, I decide I'm going to give Iron Bundle a Steel Terra type, fitting because he is a robot. This will help me defensively, although not offensively, and apparently I can't change his Terra type because I only have one Pokemon in my party? How is this game put together with like duct tape and hopes and dreams and thumbtacks and just barely not falling apart? This is like the most bizarre design choice. For some reason, the game thinks that by changing Terra type, I'm going to be giving up my Robo Delibird, and so it won't let me change Terra type when there's only one Pokemon in my party, because then I would have 0 Pokemon in my party, like depositing in the PC. This is so dumb. Ignoring that working as intended moment, I decide to re-challenge Atticus. I have a robot that is actually made of steel now, so I Terrestrialize and fire off an Ice Beam, while Stuntank just tries and fails to poison me with Toxic. Eat immunity, bitch. Anyway, Sucker Punch does deal a little bit of damage, but I finish him off with a second Ice Beam. Unfortunately, this reveals the flaw in my plan. Both Reverum and Muck have ground-type moves, which can hit me for super effective, and their secondary effects will lower my speed and accuracy, respectively. It becomes incredibly clear that this is a losing fight when I miss my next Ice Beam breaking the metronome chain, so I just decide to move on to a second attempt. This time around, the random weather is rain, which is super helpful for me, but also gives me the opportunity to complain about the fact that the majority of battles are outside and subject to random weather. I do think it's extra stupid that if a overworld weather is taking place, you can't even use a weather move to change the weather, so sometimes there's just a permanent sandstorm in Kofu's gym or permanent rain in one of the Team Star bases. It helps me because now I have rain-boosted Water Pulse that I can chain with Metronome. I use the same general strategy of baiting a poison attack and giving myself an immunity with Steel, and end up with a significantly stronger Water Pulse, allowing me to almost one-shot the Muck. I do still get the accuracy drop, but I get lucky and manage to take it down with only one Mud Slap to the face. I have a decent amount of HP left, but I'm a little scared of the Navi Starmobile, Still, its super effective attack is a fire type, so it's going to be lowered by the rain, and I can take it out in 2 shots with an unbroken metronome chain. GG, easy. I got lucky in multiple ways in that fight though, both from the accuracy and, again, the stupid random weather. It helped me, but it's a dumb mechanic, and I hate it. Technically speaking, the next gym leader is going to be Rhyme. However, she is a double battle, and I am pretty scared of that. 2v1ing is going to be more difficult for a glass cannon, and since she gets a Omni boost from knocking out my partner Pokemon, yeah, I'm not going to be doing that next. Instead, I decided to take myself through the caves, fighting a bunch of trainers along the way, as well as some auto battles that I'm able to pretty easily go through because I have water type and ice type super effective against all of these ground and rock types. After fighting the trainers for experience, I'm going to go fight the psychic gym leader. I cannot remember her name offhand. She's my least favorite of the new gym leaders. I actually think most of these gym leaders have pretty cool design and, I mean, it's basic personality, but I like them. For example, Larry is fucking amazing, but even ones who other people hate, for example, Iono, I love the idea that she's just incredibly vain and is only a gym leader because she wants to get views on her stream and she refuses to collab with anyone who isn't going to bring in views. It's just very funny to see that very, very cringy streamer, very, very content-motivated streamer. It's very funny to me. Anyway, we go up to the Psychic Town, and it's time to fight the Psychic-type gym trainers. Alright, so I am not gonna mince words. This is the absolute worst part of the run. It is extremely tedious. The 2 trainers I have to fight during my ESP minigame are both incredibly difficult, and in order to re-challenge them if you fail, you have to go through the fucking stupid ESP Simon Says game that we've currently got playing on the screen. Let me just complain about this gym challenge because I had to mash my way through it so many fucking times because these trainers just were more of a roadblock than I would have expected the simple psychic trainers to be. It takes so long and is next to impossible to fail. These, like Simon Says buttons, you just have to press them within the most generous time period ever. And also, you cannot fail by clicking the wrong button. So eventually, it came to the point where during my many cycles and failures, I would just press all 4 buttons, A, B, X, Y, A, B, X, Y, in rotation, going through to make sure that, you know, I just get through it. The first gym trainer, as you've probably seen, is not a problem for me. I just super effective, or not even super effective, I just, you know, super powerful ice beam my way through. However, the second gym trainer is the reason that I absolutely hate this section and have this annoying sound, like music, for the ESP drilled into my head. I've got this on 4x speed. It's so long and tedious, and in order to re-challenge this second person, this absolute fucking asshole right here with his stupid Grumpig, who, by the way, as far as my testing can tell, that Grumpig randomly chooses whether or not it's thick fat. Sometimes it's thick fat and sometimes it isn't. So that thing is a pain in my ass. And yeah, I lose to the Medicham also because, you know, the Grumpig deals damage to me. I have to go through 2 phases of that ESP every time I want to re-challenge that trainer. And I want to re-challenge that trainer because you might have noticed high jump kick is what killed me. So I get the idea. What if I go Terra Ghost and trick the Medicham into killing himself with high jump kick? Spoilers, it doesn't fucking work. That's a bad idea. And you will see why that's a bad idea very, very soon. But yeah, I hate the ESP. It's so annoying. I hate the ESP so much. Just look at how long it takes me just to get a single rematch with Gym Trainer Raphael. And also keep in mind that, as I mentioned, his Grumpig's ability is not predetermined. At least I'm fairly certain it's not predetermined because the amount of damage Ice Beam does varies way too much to just be a damage roll. I think half the time it has thick fat and half the time it doesn't. Anyway, we try to Terastallize Ghost so that this Medicham will kill itself using High Jump Kick, but then we get a crit, so it was unnecessary, and now Edidi is going to hit me with a Psychic and kill me before my Hyper Beam can kill it. That's fucking frustrating. Back to the drawing board, I suppose. So I decide that I'm just going to grind up to level 42 in order to take on Kofu. He's pretty low level, but Freeze Dry is still, I think, my best bet for taking care of him. Because I get Freeze Dry at level 42, I am ridiculously over-leveled, and this is just an absolute effing massacre. I don't even need to Terra Ice and get Adaptability in order to one-shot his entire team. Kofu, I'm sorry that I had to disrespect you like this. Unfortunately, even within his own gym battle, Kofu is not the star of the show, because he was the 5th gym leader that I defeated. That means I'm going to get sucked into a mandatory fight with my rival Nimona. I mentioned this in the last video, but even though the majority of the Nimona fights you do not actually need to win in order to progress the story, I have a rule for my solo runs that I need to win the Nimona fights. That means that if I fail this Nimona fight, I will have to reset the game and challenge Kofu all over again. Oh no, the horror. How will I cope with having to click Freeze Dry 3 more times? That's just so terrifying. Anyway, I gave myself the Water Terra type because I knew Nimona was going to be coming up after Kofu and I wasn't worried about him. I was slightly worried about her, and Water is actually pretty strong into her team. It allows me to one-shot the Lycanroc. Unfortunately, I am going to be hit by super effective Tapamo, but Pomo goes down before he can hit me. Gumi comes next, and I switch over to Ice Beam because, you know, super effective dragon type. It was probably unnecessary, but dragons do resist water. Then a final Water Pulse against her Pure Fire Terra'd Skeledirge is going to be enough to take it down, except for no, not really. Skeledirge is actually really tough. But it just uses Torch Song, and because I shed my Ice type, I am actually resistant to Torch Song. Deals a big chunk of damage, so maybe Skeledirge is going to be more scary than I thought in the future, but that's Nimona. Because I now have access to Freeze Dry, I decide that the Dondozo Tatsugiri Titan is within my reach. First phase is pretty easy. Dondozo is hit by Freeze Dry for super effective, so 3 of them takes him down before his physical attacks can pierce Robot Santa's metallic body. My powerful metallic body. Then Dondozo runs away. Yada yada yada, that's the basic Arven. I run across the ocean and try and fail to climb up onto the island, then realize that I was going to the wrong end of things. Here's Dondozo Tatsugiri again, and Arven shows up just in time. It's time to fight the totally definitely a dragon Dondozo. Definitely not a pure water type, and definitely not the second out of 3 phases. This is the final phase of the Titan. I'm dealing a lot less damage with my Freeze Dry than I expected, however. And Dondozo has decided to target me instead of Arven's Pokemon, the little squirrel, what is it, the Peter Griffin Pokemon. Greedent, that's its name. But yeah, I'm getting really, really unlucky with Body Slams and Paralyses and Wipe. I decide that even though Arven technically could beat this, it's worth it for me to restart because I'm missing the experience, and I kind of want the experience on Iron Bundle. Like, what's the point? I'm struggling with battles. I need experience anyway. On the second attempt, Arven actually takes more of the damage than I do, so Delibird is alive to take down Dondozo. Then Tatsugiri shows up, all ready to get hit by 4x effective Freeze Dries because it is a Water/Dragon type. That becomes unnecessary though because I get Lucky Freeze. I'm not sure that was a skill-based victory, but we take those. It's time to get the final piece of the sandwich and resolve the emotional story of will Arven's dog die? No lie, this actually kind of made me, like, really emotional. I understand that it's cheap playing with, like, pet death, but I did recently have a pet death. One of my cats, I don't want to go into the details, but didn't make it through the trip from North Carolina to where I'm currently living. Yeah. So it hit hard, the dying dog who doesn't die. I know, again, it's cheap storytelling to pull on the emotional labor, and I'm not going to claim that Scarlet and Violet is the best written Pokemon game of all time, but I cried at Almost Dying Dog, and I was very happy that he didn't die. I was actually kind of scared that they were going to make him die. So that's good that they didn't. That got unexpectedly heavy, so let's go take on the ESP again. Yay for ESP, everyone's favorite. As you can see, I kind of just I've had it at this point. I'm just mashing buttons while watching videos on my other monitor. I am so done with this challenge. despite the fact that I was just mashing buttons over and over and over again, I somehow made it through the ESP. I actually do know that you can fail this, because I failed it during one attempt, but that was almost basically an intentional fail, where I just mashed the wrong buttons over and over again just to see what would happen. That said, it's time to face Gym Trainer Raphael, my fucking rival. I skipped over several of these fights, and it may look like the damage rolls are not that different on Grumpig, but let me assure you, he does sometimes have thick fat, and he does sometimes not have thick fat. Anyway, I make it through the first two Pokemon, and then Terrasilize into a Dark type to blank Indeedee's Psychic. This allows me to get off the final Psychic I need, and then after having defeated him, I run up to Gym Trainer Raphael and use my Emotional Spectrum powers to punch him in his smug fucking face until he has to go to the hospital. Fuck this guy so hard. I cut out something like an hour's worth of footage of me trying and failing to beat him at various points, at various levels, with various strategies. I hate Raphael with every fiber of my being. Now we move on to the gym leader, who I very easily could Google the name of, but the game even refers to her as question mark, question mark, question mark. Ignore the fact that it changes to Tulip later. She is a mysterious gym leader, and the reason we don't know her name is it doesn't matter. Raphael is the real boss of this gym, that motherfucker. Anyway, we try with Ice Beam on Farigiraf, but it is a two-shot, meaning she's able to get a little bit of damage on us. I continue the Metronome Chain on Gardevoir and get a Lucky Freeze, which is nice because Gardevoir is scary. Then comes Espathra. Unfortunately, I can't one-shot Espathra either, but I do, again, get a Lucky Freeze. That's nice. I am going into Florges with some very high HP. I decide to Terrasilize into a Dark type to try to blank whatever Psychic attack she's going for. But unfortunately, I forgot that Florges definitely knows Fairy moves. Ice Beam is not nearly enough to kill this special wall, and Moonblast kills me. Fortunately, there's a solution. Even without the insane freeze luck that I got earlier, I think if I change my Terra type from Dark to Steel, I should be able to be pretty successful at this. My Metronome-powered Ice Beams are going to deal a good hefty chunk of damage, and while my special defense isn't the highest, if I Terrasilize into Steel, I'm able to resist both Psychic attacks and Fairy attacks. I do get assisted by a lucky critical on Gardevoir, but Metronome-powered up Ice Beam is enough to one-shot Espartha, and Terra Stealing lets me shrug off a Moonblast. Well, I say shrug off. It's still going to deal a decent amount of damage to me, but Florges is more of a tank than an attacker, so I can survive one and take down Florges in 2 hits. GG, easy. Raphael was harder. Afterwards, I have a couple of errands I need to take care of. Now that I have 6 gym badges, nature-changing herbs are available at every Chansey shop. I previously believed that they were actually available at only specific Chansey shops located later in the game, and I even published a video saying get it at this specific town, but that's incorrect. It's not gated based on location, it's gated based on how many gym badges you have, so I apologize for that. However, I'm still not quite ready to take on Grusha, who is going to be my 7th gym leader. As a reminder, Rhyme is a double battle, so I'm definitely going to be facing her last. Grusha, however, does have Ice-type Pokemon, and they resist Ice, which is my stronger attacking move right now, due to the fact I have access to Ice Beam and not something like Surf. Actually, Robo Delibird doesn't learn Surf, which is unfortunate because Surf is available surprisingly early. It's located in the same town as Brassius's gym, so if you are using a water Pokemon for a solo run or Nuzlocke or whatever, access to that Surf TM early is incredibly helpful. However, Delibird's water move of choice is Hydro Pump, and I think I'm finally at the level where I can get it. This is gated behind defeating 7 trainers at Casa Royal Lake, so I just run around and fight trainers. I do appreciate that some of the more powerful TMs are locked behind being able to defeat a certain number of trainers in an area, which does mean you can't just sequence break in order to get a super powerful move. For various challenge runs, I feel like that would be a little bit too broken. Unfortunately, not all of them are. As I mentioned, Surf is available surprisingly early, and that tends to be the ideal water-type move. However, I know a lot of other powerful moves have had their distribution cut down. For example, Toxic is no longer even a TM, and things like Scald. And Scald is now Vocalian's signature move. So maybe Surf has also been cut down? I haven't really looked into that because all I cared about was Robo Delibird's learn set for this particular playthrough. Before battling Grusha, I need to take on Nemona again. I'll be honest, I actually forgot about this fight because it comes so soon after her most recent one. You battle her after the 5th gym and now before the 7th gym. This is very close together. Anyway, she's not much of a problem. I used the same strategy I did before. Hydro Pump to take down Rockruff and Palmot, Ice Beam to take down Sligoo, and then Hydro Pump is going to take care of Skeledirge. Skeledirge is incredibly tanky and was worrisome last time, but Hydro Pump is very powerful. Thankfully, I don't miss. I do have the Wide Lens available to increase my Hydro Pump accuracy, however, that means I can't use an item to boost my damage either. Even with Wide Lens, I believe my accuracy is only 88% on Hydro Pump, since it adds 10% and it's an 80 accuracy move. As such, I fail a good number of attempts against Grusha because I need to have every single Hydro Pump hit. Unfortunately, this is going to get even more unreliable in later fights. So Titan does not get taken down by a single Hydro Pump, but Ice Spinner doesn't do a ton of damage to me. I've Terra Watered, by the way, as I'm sure you can see, as that damage boost should make up for the lack of a held item damage boost. Altaria is very clever, and I actually accidentally click Ice Beam on it one time because it sheds its 4x weakness for a resistance, but all the Hydro Pumps in a row, GG, easy. Hydro Pump being its only good water attacking move is going to get on my nerves, isn't it? I hate inaccurate moves. I hate them with a passion. That said, I do need to add another inaccurate move to my moveset. Blizzard, with only 70 accuracy outside of the snow, is the most powerful spread move I have access to. Technically, I could use Air Cutter for the upcoming double battle, however, it is not stab unless I terrestrialize, and it is significantly weaker than Blizzard, regardless of whether or not it has stab. With Blizzard, I can Terra Ice, get the 2x stab, hope that that's enough to take down both of Rhyme's Pokemon at once. I need a spread move because otherwise I'm going to be taking 5 turns to attack her Pokemon, since Mimikyu has Disguise, and I'm just not set up to take that many special hits, especially because Toxtricity is a very strong special attacker, and while Robo Delibird has decent physical defense, ultimately it's not going to be able to stand up to things like Hex, Boom Burst, etc., etc. In a similar manner to Hydro Pump, Blizzard is gated off by defeating a number of NPCs in the mountains in the north. I don't remember what the name of the mountains are, and again, I'm too lazy to look it up. Pokemon Scarlet and Violet's world is pretty bland. I feel like going open world just took away from any desire to create a world with good culture or design or memorable locations. The snowy mountains made of snow. I gotta fight, I think, 11 trainers up there to get access to Blizzard. It's a tedious affair, but it's not particularly difficult. Honestly, the hardest part is hunting them all down using my gliding motorcycle. With Blizzard in hand, I decide that I still don't have enough levels to fight Rhyme. I'm really scared of this 2v1 battle. So let's take on the Fairy Team Starbase. And you know what that means. It's time for the favorite mini game of everyone here. Ortega time. Unfortunately, I taught Blizzard over Freeze Dry because I'm a dumbass, and then decided to challenge Ortega, who leads with a water type, so I can't Freeze Dry him, and I'm SOL with him. Let's go change our Terra type and take on this Fairy. Now that I actually have the correct moveset, Terra Ice to adaptability, Freeze Dry, super effective, Azumarill, this is going to go quite swimmingly. Wheelie Jump comes up next, and this thing is a bit of a special role, but I am a very strong special attacker. Ice Beam takes it down, and Willing to Dash follows up. Next comes Reverum, aka Ortega's Rugabash Starmobile? Rugabash Starmobile? I'm probably pronouncing this word wrong, but it's not that scary. It can hit me with a super effective Steamroller, but only once because the Misty terrain that comes out from its Misty Surge then goes away, and some tiny Steamroller. I did get jump scared because Steamroller is a very powerful Steel type attack, but apparently my physical defense is strong enough to stand up to it. GG, easy, let's move on. Between Airy and Rhyme, I'm more confident against Airy because again, last cannon or a double battle, I'm just not confident. So it's time to move on and finish the last star base of Starfall Street. To delay this fight against Flying for super powerful ghost types. The plan against Airy is to take advantage of Air Cutter one last time. I can Terrasilize into the Flying type, since my Ice typing will bait super effective fighting attacks and Flying resists it. Then I gain Stab on Air Cutter and I can take out all of her fighters, but I forgot to recharge my Terra Orb after defeating the Team Star Grunt outside of the front gates. This is a little bit awkward and annoying. It's not the end of the world, however. I've managed to buy just about everything I think I'll need for this run, and choice arms aren't available yet, so yeah, I don't really care about losing money. In my second attempt, I do have the ability to Terrasilize into a Flying type, so I do that. Now Air Cutter gains Stab, and I resist all the fighting type moves. Toxicroak does hit me with a rather weak Brick Break, but I'm still able to take it down in 2. Surprised I didn't get it in 1, but out comes Annihilate next. It uses Ice Punch, which hits me for super effective because I'm flying, but I can still take it down, and out comes Hajmanatan, who I take down in 1 hit, so no more attacks. Lucario is going to take neutral from Air Cutter, but it's still not really a special wall, so now time for the Starmobile. The Ka Starmobile goes down in 2 hits despite stamina. I luckily survive at 1 HP from Spinout, and I do want to point out that's an actual survive at 1 HP. I don't have access to Focus Sash because I'm holding Metronome, and I don't have any of the friendship benefits because those are banned in my solo runs. I'm still scared of Rhyme, so it's time to continue the Starfall Street endgame. First up is Director Clavel, and might I just say, his battle theme is actually pretty kick-ass. In fact, I'm a fan of all of the boss battle themes for the specific bosses. I don't really care for the gym leader music. It sounds like just a worst version of the gym leader music from Sword and Shield, which, that was a fucking bop. Anyway, I have Life Orb, so Robot Santa's gonna lose some HP for every attack, but thankfully Oranguru gets frozen, so I can 2-shot it and only lose about 20% of my health. Hydro Pump next one-shots the Houndoom, and I'm down to 70%. Freeze Dry is 4x effective on Gyarados, so bye-bye, out comes Pokemon number 4, that's Abomasnow. I decide to hit it with an Ice Beam, since that's going to be dealing neutral damage. Hydro Pump is going to deal more, however, Ice Beam is more accurate, and I really can't afford to take an attack. Abomasnow just chooses to put up Aurora Veil, I forget how tanky this thing is, and a second Ice Beam takes it down. The Veil is up, however. Next out comes Poltergeist, but I get another Lucky Freeze. The snow is actually working in my favor because I am an ice type. It means that I'm going to get a plus 50% boost against physical attacks. I go for Hydro Pump since the Frozen Sinistea is only going to stay frozen for a couple of turns probably. 2 of them wipes it out, and next comes Meowscarada. He chooses to Terrasilize his Meowscarada into pure grass, and he's almost certainly going for a Flower Trick. However, I never get to find out because a critical hit Ice Beam takes it down. That's Director Clavel, and god damn, that was a close fight. Next up is Penny, the character with probably the best fight theme in the entire game. This music goes hard. I'm a bit mixed on Penny as a person because I do think her hacking your phone and blackmailing you to help out with the Team Star situation is a little bit shitty, and the game treats it as if it's just normal. I mean, heck, that's an invasion of privacy, and I don't know. It has made me reconsider Penny as the ooh I love Eevee girl. She is not the trans icon I thought she was. The Evolution fight, however, is cool, and the boss theme absolutely slaps. Unfortunately, I do not think I'm going to be able to take care of it. Life Orb damage is catching up to me, so if I take a single attack, I'm going to lose. And the Jolteon outspeeds me to Thunder. Ouch. I decided to try again, this time with Wide Lens instead of Life Orb. The recoil from Life Orb is making it so I can't take a single hit, and hopefully Wide Lens will mean that I don't miss as often with Hydro Pump. Unfortunately, this is also a losing strategy, despite the fact that I Terra Ice and therefore gain adaptability on both Freeze Dry and Ice Beam. The lack of damage boost from Life Orb is pretty significant. Yes, I still two-shot the Umbreon, but you can see just how little damage I'm doing. I miss the Flareon and I go down. Arven doesn't go much better, so I decide it is finally time to head down to Double Battle City. I load myself up with Blizzard, and let's hope we've got enough to deal with them. Okay, so it turns out being almost 20 levels over the enemy makes the double battle aspect trivial. I was kind of scared for nothing. That's the 8th gym badge, and oops, it was kind of pathetic. I feel bad stomping all over a rhyme like that, but let's just move on to the Pokemon League, see what happens. So I need to pick a single Terra type for all 4 of the Elite Four members, since I'm unable to access the restaurant to change it in between. I decide on Terra Ice because adaptability on my Ice-type moves means that I get adaptability on super effective moves against the Ground-type, the Flying-type, and the Dragon-type Elite Four members. This is something you might not realize, but after you defeat the Elite Four, you can actually just re-challenge the champion without fighting the Elite Four over again. So if Ice is not ideal for dealing with the top champion Gita, I can just come back with a different Terra type afterwards and skip over the Elite Four. Speaking of skipping over, I'm kind of skipping over the Rika fight because even though I'm not that far over-leveled for her, I'm a very powerful special attacker with adaptability and metronome who can deal super effective damage to every single one of her Pokemon. Even though Freeze Dry breaks my metronome streak, it's still just like, it's stronger than it needs to be. GG, easy. We're wiping out Rika, and then here comes Poppy. Now, I didn't respect Poppy. I thought Poppy's a little girl. Poppy's just a pathetic little girl. She's easy. Easy Elite Four member Poppy. Oh, no. Poppy is unfortunately going to be the final difficult trainer of this run. And the reason for that, well, there's a couple of reasons. Her Steel-type Pokemon are extremely bulky, and because Robo Delibird is primarily a glass cannon, being unable to or having difficulty one-shotting a Pokemon who you can't deal super effective against is going to be a problem. My best bet is to hope for Hydro Pump, but then I can't boost because I have to deal with 5 Pokemon in a row with Hydro Pump, so I really need Wide Lens for that. Not being able to metronome, since again missing with Hydro Pump would not only break the metronome, but probably result in a loss, that's a problem. In addition to this, her Magneton has Sturdy, which means that it is always going to survive a hit no matter what. Normally this isn't a huge problem. I'm using a PP up on Hydro Pump, so I have 6 Hydro Pumps available, and since I don't rely on metronome, I can just Hydro Pump and then finish it off with something weak like Freeze Dry. However, this Magneton knows both Discharge and Light Screen. Discharge is a very powerful special attack that will be super effective against me if I go Terra Water, which I need to get enough damage with Hydro Pump. Unfortunately, that's not even the worst option. Light screen means that my special attacks, which are the only attacks I'm using, are going to deal half damage for the next 5 turns, including the turn it goes up. Honestly, when light screen comes up, I kind of hope to miss with Hydro Pump just to burn light screen turns. Now, once I go Terra Water, I am actually resistant to the stab steel moves instead of neutral to them, because again, steel is super effective against ice, but resisted by water. Unfortunately, the Corviknight, who typically comes out directly after Magnezone, is going to use Body Press on me. Sometimes it even sets up with Iron Defense and then Body Presses. Remember, if Light Screen is up, I cannot even two-shot the Corviknight. Corviknight is very tanky, and while Ice is going to be neutral against it because of the Flying type countering Steel's resistance, it's still not going to deal a ton of damage, especially through Light Screen. I try Life Orb strategies, I try Metronome strategies, I try Wide Lens strategies. Nothing is doing it with Poppy. Unfortunately, what I end up having to do is going back to school, take all of the finals in order to get EXP Candy Medium, and then power myself up to level 70. This gets me past several damage rounding thresholds, and even then, the Poppy fight is pretty difficult. Steel is just not a type that I have a good answer to. This is the limitation of glass cannons in solo runs, and this is one of the reasons why I banned Terra Blast in my playthroughs. Because if I could just go Terra Blast, Terra Fighting, this would be a lot easier, or maybe even Terra Fire because the Corviknight is flying. Either way, it would be a lot easier for me to deal with this, and I feel like, again, that becomes super centralizing, and I just don't want to rely on them. Anyway, at a super high level, I am able to finally take down the menace that is Poppy. However, it's still pretty frickin' scary. I Terra Water for Hydro Pump extra power because, again, Terra Ice on Ice Beam is not going to be doing it for me, and managed to get through Light Screen by having the Corviknight waste a turn, setting up with Iron Defense for Body Press. Tinkaton is terrifying, though. I resist its Gigaton Hammer, but Play Rough could still fuck me. Fortunately, that 90% accurate move misses, and I take down Poppy. Unfortunately, as I mentioned, she's going to be the last difficult fight in this playthrough. Because I had to get so over-leveled to deal with her, and I really wanted to avoid getting over-leveled for this reason, now taking down the next couple of boss trainers is just going to be a walk in the park. Let's be honest, Larry with his flying types and Hassel with his dragon types were never going to be too difficult for me because I do have a super effective move I have access to adaptability on, but now they're a joke. I forgot to use an ether to restore my Ice Beam PP, so I just defeat Larry with Freeze Dry. I actually don't even remember if I put Metronome on or just kept Wide Lens, therefore had no boost. I'm pretty sure this is a Metronome boosted Freeze Dry, but if it isn't, that's even more funny and hilarious. I went through his entire team with Freeze Dry, and that's Larry. I love Larry. I really do. But the Elite Four of Paldea is incredibly weak, and Larry is certainly part of that. It would be helpful if 3 of the 4 Elite Four members didn't specialize in types that were weak to fucking Ice-type moves. Especially since the last 2 of them, that being Hassel and Larry, don't even have a Pokemon with a secondary type to resist Ice. Hassel does have a Baxcalibur, but he terrastalizes it into a normal type dragon, or rather a pure dragon, not normal dragon. You know what I mean. Anyway, yeah, Larry doesn't have an Ice Resist. At the very least, Rika has the Camerupt and the Whiscash, although Whiscash can be hit by Freeze Dry, so, you know, Ice-type supremacy rules for everyone other than Camerupt. But what if you have a Water type who has an Ice coverage move, or a Water-Ice type like I do? It's just, this Elite Four is an absolute joke. But I guess it makes sense, because they lead up to one of the champions who is the biggest joke champion of all time. I think she might actually be even more pathetic than the champion of X and Y, Diantha, who has previously held the title of being the most pathetic champion. At the very least, Diantha had Pokemon who were all unique to Kalos decks, even though her choices were a little bit suspect. Technically speaking, Mega Gardevoir is unique to the Kalos decks, because while Gardevoir was new, or rather wasn't new, Mega Gardevoir was new. Anyway, Geeta opens with his Pathra, who's just not a great Pokemon for the champion to open with. Ice Beam takes it down, and then up second is King Gambit. So, yay, you're really fucking making use of that Supreme Overlord. Too bad I still one-shot with a Terra Water Hydro Pump. Oh no, it's Go-Goat! Ice Beam. Yes, that is the correct decision. Thank you for complimenting me, pathetic champion. Avalugg has no special defense, so I probably could have taken it down with an Ice move, but Hydro Pump does it anyway. Veluza goes down to Freeze Dry, and then out comes her ace. Obviously, the best ace for her to have is a Terra Rock, Pure Rock Lamora. Really getting the most mileage out of those toxic spikes, aren't you? Obviously, I'm over-leveled because of Poppy, and that does make these next few fights kind of a steamroll, but I think even if I wasn't over-leveled, Geeta would not be a challenge whatsoever. Up next, it's time for me to fight Arven for the end of the Titan questline. He opens with Peter Griffin the Squevit, or Redent, or whatever the fuck it's called, the Peter Griffin Squirrel. So I decide to Terra Water and blast it with a Hydro Pump. This thing is pretty specially tanky, but again, I'm level 73. A 4x effective Ice Beam takes down Totoscruel, and out next comes Scovillain. All of my moves are going to be neutral, so Ice Beam, yada yada yada. Garganacl comes out next, and Hydro Pump is going to take it down. By the way, in case you haven't noticed, I am using Life Orb to boost these numbers. Freeze Dry against Cloyster. I'm not sure if the Life Orb is necessary here, but out comes Mabostiff, and he terrestrializes into Terra Dark. This thing is actually pretty threatening. I miss a Hydro Pump, and Crunch almost kills me. Almost. But my second Hydro Pump gets the one shot. I do love that Arven's ace is Mabostiff. I know people make jokes about how it just got healthy and now you're killing it via Nuzlocke, but this isn't a Nuzlocke rule set. Arven is just happy to play with his puppy now that he's healthy enough to play, and I think that's sweet and wholesome. Anyway, what you're seeing on screen is an auto-scrolling, not a cutscene, or at the very least the game doesn't consider this a cutscene, because it doesn't get skipped even though I have this skip cutscenes option turned on. It's kind of horseshit in my opinion. But yeah, Lycanroc comes out first, so I Terra Water and hit it with a Hydro Pump. Ba-boom! Bye, doggo! Nemona compliments me on type matchups, despite the fact that I've defeated the Elite Four. So I Hydro Pump a Pawmot, and yeah, Life Orb is really coming in clutch here. Life Orb boosted Hydro Pump against the Dunsparce is enough to take it down as well, and then the Orthworm comes out, and Hydro Pump, Life Orb, yada yada yada. Goodra is up next, so let's Ice Beam it, and last but not least is going to come the Skeledirge. Skeledirge is tanky, but I am pretty over-leveled, Life Orb is pretty strong, and Hydro Pump is incredible. I don't miss, so I win. That's Nemona down. It really sucks that I'm so over-leveled going over all of these because I don't really have, like, interesting choices to make. Also, this is also considered not a cutscene for some reason. It's hilarious to me that they added a skip cutscene option, but almost nothing is flagged as a cutscene. This is auto-scrolling. I'm not hitting A to go through the text. How is this not a cutscene? This is so stupid. Like, let me just show you. I forget to pull up the menu, but then I go to the schoolyard, I decide I'm not ready, and I pull up my menu to show off. I have skipped cutscenes on. And they didn't skip those cutscenes. Anyway, it's time for yet another final showdown with Penny. Clive shows up, definitely not Clavel in disguise, and it's time for me to stomp all over the leader of Team Star. Once again, because I'm over-leveled, this fight is just... It's not going to be the challenge it could have been if I wasn't 10 levels higher than her entire team. Baby Doll Eyes is basically a blank turn because I never use my physical attack, so Umbreon goes down with no impact. I go for a Hydro Pump, praying it doesn't miss, and Jolteon goes down as well. Leafeon is next, so Ice Beam takes down that evolution, and up next comes Flareon. Hydro Pump, yada yada yada. That cat dog is down. Vaporeon is next, so I go for a Freeze Dry, and yep, bye-bye Mermaid Cat. And last but not least is Transpride Sylveon. She terrestrializes into the form that she always wanted to be. I love the cute little heart that fairy types get, by the way. And Hydro Pump isn't enough to kill. I'm actually kind of scared. Yep, Moonblast takes me down. Okay, so Poppy wasn't the last fight that I lost to, but I do think getting rid of the Life Orb is gonna be enough to take down Penny. I throw Mystic Water on instead of the Life Orb. It's not going to be as big of a boost, but it will hopefully prevent me from taking so much damage that I die to a single Moonblast. Umbreon goes for Dark Pulse instead of Baby Doll Eyes, meaning I take a little bit of damage beforehand. Jolteon goes down as expected, and Leafeon dies to Ice Beam. Those two are pretty free as long as I don't miss Hydro Pump. Same with Flareon, and again, I don't miss Hydro Pump. In fact, I get a critical hit. That's overkill. Vaporeon is tanky though, so without the Life Orb boost, I can't kill it with Freeze Dry, meaning it gets off some damage on me. I'm now at pretty low HP, I just have to hope I'm good enough to survive a Moonblast because I can't kill with a single Hydro Pump. In fact, Hydro Pump misses. That's really awkward. Yeah, I lose. Alright, let's roll it back with Life Orb, since that means at least I can one-shot the Vaporeon. Maybe Moonblast was a range? I don't know. Let's find out. I Terastallize and Baby Doll Eyes does nothing, so Umbreon goes down without dealing any damage. Jolteon is next, and I hit it with Ice Beam. This is actually enough to kill, so I don't have to gamble on Hydro Pump. Ice Beam also knocks off Leafeon, so there we go, but we're losing HP fast. And I miss a Hydro Pump. Flare Blitz means I'm probably going to lose this attempt, but hey, I'll continue fighting. It's faster than hitting the reset button after all. Freeze Dry one-shots Vaporeon as expected, but I'm so low, I'm definitely dead to Moonblast. Actually, I forgot about the length of these cutscenes. It's quite possible that just hitting reset would be faster than sitting through. But I get a lucky critical hit, so we don't have to worry about that. I win. Anyway, as you can see, I skip all of the Area 0 stuff. I do want to note that the only cutscenes that Skip's cutscenes seems to affect are the two in Area 0. I'm not sure if this is a glitch or not, but I have access to Booster Energy. Because of my changed nature, Special Attack is now going to get boosted by Booster Energy, which means, yeah, this is definitely the item of choice. I one-shot the Iron Moth, one-shot the Iron Thorns, and out comes Iron Hands. This thing is tanky. I don't think I can one-shot it, especially because it has Fake Out, which is annoying. But yeah, it gets off a Thunder Punch as well, so I'm pretty darn low. This is starting to look scary. Item Jugulus comes out next, and Ice Beam is a one-shot. Then comes his own Iron Bundle, but I'm higher level, so Freeze Dry, GG, easy. And here comes the ace. The mix between Gallade and Gardevoir is Iron Valiant, and his Quark Drive activates as well. I pray that my Terra Hydro Pump does not miss, but I do. Honestly, Hydro Pump not being perfectly accurate is the biggest inconsistency in Iron Bundle's moveset. I've heard some people argue that that is the reason that it's actually balanced in competitive Pokemon. Since it doesn't have Surf, you can rely on missing Hydro Pumps in order to win. But I feel like it still deserves to be banned. Hydro Pump missing is unfortunate, and it does allow you to edge out a win against Iron Bundle in competitive, but that doesn't make it a good Pokemon. That doesn't make it balanced. Like, it still means you're relying on a miss for whatever reason in order to win. Also, fun fact, I was able to get without the Fake Out because Stone Edge had weakened me. We're getting near the end of the fight, and it's time to find out whether my Terra Water-powered Hydro Pump is going to hit this time, and if it's going to be enough to kill Iron Valiant. I miss again! This is so frustrating. Maybe I'm on board with the people who claim that Hydro Pump missing makes Iron Bundle balanced. No, just kidding, I'm not. That's a stupid argument. I feel like if you have to rely on an RNG miss in order for this Pokemon not to completely demolish your team, maybe the Pokemon is a problem. I don't think competitive Pokemon should be RNG related. Anyway, I immediately Terra Water and fire off a Hydro Pump against this Iron Moth. Interesting, child. Interesting, says the robot. Iron Hands comes out next for some reason, I guess because it has an electric attack, which tells me that Iron Thorns doesn't, even though it's also an electric type. Either way, it goes for the Thunder Punch instead of Fake Out, so I'm able to Hydro Pump down the next couple, then Freeze Dry against Bundle, out comes Jugulus, so Ice Beam it is. And we're on to, once again, Turo's ace. Am I going to be able to hit him with Hydro Pump this time? Yes, I am, and it's enough for the kill. GG, easy. There we go. Yeah, Robot Santa has completely conquered Paldea. He did it a little bit late for Christmas, but Robot Santa's always been a little bit of a goofball, a little bit of an oddball. He's not a normal Santa, he's a robot, he's murderous, he's kooky and crazy, so it kind of makes sense for him to not succeed on time for Christmas. It ain't over until the Ed Sheeran sings, as they all say, so we do technically have a forced story fight against the evil version of Koraidon. I actually used this opportunity to try to experiment and see if it was possible for me to fail. Or not Koraidon, Miraidon. I got my legendary bikes mixed up. I'm not re-recording this take because this is commentary on the fact that the bikes are extremely forgettable legendaries. Anyway, as it turns out, you actually can't lose this battle. I tried. I literally just spammed my the status move that Miraidon has, Endure, over and over again, even at the point where you're supposed to attack with Endure. I got taunted, which would initially get through that problem, but when the taunt wears off, I'm able to continue to spam Endure again for no reason. So we've got all these cutscenes and stuff, yada yada yada. This is a very epic fight. Oh no, I got reduced to 1 HP. This time it's not the true 1 HP, because unlike Robo Delibird, this Miraidon actually has the friendship mechanics, which is kind of dumb. So now I'm supposed to Terrastalize and hit it with Terra Blast. I guess this is to teach me about Terra Blast. But instead I Terrastalize and use Endure. Power Gem hits, but I held on from the power of Friendship. So I hit Endure again. And Hyper Beam hits, but I hold on from the power of Friendship. So I hit Endure again. And at this point, Miraidon is sick of my shit, so it just chooses to Terra Blast without any input from me. Really? That bullshit is a Christmas present from me to you. Happy New Year, everyone. Love you all.